Ingrid knew well the reputation of Matteo's family, hated by the entire town for decades, with rumours of injustice and dishonesty. Even so, she defied everyone's opinion and accepted Matteo's marriage proposal. However, on that same day, the entire town would be surprised by an unexpected revelation that would change everything. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. The rising sun painted the sky with golden hues as Ingrid returned to her hometown after 5 years of absence. The fresh morning air carried the familiar aroma of pine trees and freshly brewed coffee from the local bakeries. The narrow streets and brick houses evoked memories of her childhood, but something had changed. Ingrid was no longer the dreamy young girl who had left to study. Now she was a graduated woman, full of ambitions and ready to give back to the family that had sacrificed so much for her. Her parents welcomed her with warm hugs and teary eyes. Time had left subtle marks on their faces, reminding Ingrid how much they now needed her support. The modest house where she had grown up seemed smaller, but the love that filled it remained immense. "We are so proud of you, my daughter," said her mother, serving a cup of coffee to Ingrid. "But I must admit, I am worried about this idea of working for the Salvatores." Ingrid sighed, already anticipating the discussion. "Mum, it's an incredible opportunity. Matteo Salvatore's company is the largest in the region. It would be a great start for my career." Her father, who had remained silent until then, spoke with a grave voice. "Ingrid, you know what that family did to our city. The wounds are still open, even after so many years." The young woman knew the story well. The Salvatores were seen as local villains, a family that had enriched themselves at the expense of the residents decades ago. The resentment passed from generation to generation, fueled by rumours and grievances. "Dad, that happened more than 80 years ago. Matteo wasn't even born. We can't judge someone for the mistakes of their ancestors," argued Ingrid, although a part of her understood her parents' apprehension. In the days that followed, Ingrid prepared for the job interview at Matteo Salvatore's company. The imposing glass and steel building contrasted with the city's traditional architecture, symbolizing the power and modernity that the Salvatores represented. Matteo Salvatore was exactly as Ingrid had imagined, tall, well-dressed, with an air of confidence that bordered on arrogance. His piercing eyes seemed to evaluate her every move during the interview. "Miss Ingrid, your resume is impressive," he said, his deep voice echoing through the meeting room. "But I must confess I am curious. Why would someone with your potential return to a small town like ours?" Ingrid straightened in her chair, determined not to be intimidated. "Mr. Salvatore, I believe I can make a difference here. This town has given me a lot, and I want to give back. Besides, your company is at the forefront of several sectors. It would be an honor to learn and contribute." An enigmatic smile curved Matteo's lips. "Well, then welcome to the team, Miss Ingrid. I hope you're prepared to work hard." The first few weeks were a whirlwind. Ingrid dove headfirst into her new responsibilities, impressed with the complexity of the company's projects. Matteo was a demanding boss, often harsh in his criticisms, but she couldn't deny his competence. One day, while organising some documents, Ingrid found something intriguing: records of substantial donations to local charities, all made anonymously. Curious, she decided to investigate further. It was then that the veil began to lift. Matteo Salvatore, the man the entire town despised, was secretly funding social projects, school renovations, and even the reconstruction of houses damaged by the terrible storm that had ravaged the region months earlier. Ingrid vividly remembered that stormy night. The wind howled, ripping off tiles and toppling ancient trees. Entire streets were flooded, and many families lost everything. The city would take months to fully recover. Confronted by Ingrid, Matteo initially became defensive. "That's none of your business," he said gruffly. But something in her determined gaze made him relent. "Look, Ingrid," he sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "I know what people think of me, of my family. But I can't change the past. I can only try to do something good in the present. Gradually, Ingrid began to see a different side of Matteo. Behind the cold and professional facade, there was a complex man carrying the weight of a legacy he hadn't chosen. One afternoon, while walking through the company corridors after a meeting, Matteo opened up even more. Matteo sighed and, with a serious look, began to explain what had happened in the past, something the townspeople carried as an open wound for generations. "I understand their resentment," he said, his voice low and thoughtful. "My family has always been seen as the villain, and I don't deny that much of it comes from a painful history. But what few know is the full truth." He paused as if organising his thoughts before continuing. "About 80 years ago, a plague devastated the crops in this region. It was one of the worst on record, completely destroying the harvests. The farmers lost everything overnight. Desperate, many of them turned to the local bank for loans, putting their lands up as collateral. However, what no one expected was that the lands had been so deeply affected that they became barren, incapable of producing again for years." Ingrid watched him in silence, absorbing every word as he continued. "Those farmers never managed to recover. The debt grew, and in the end, the bank took the properties. My grandfather, who at the time was trying to help the town get back on its feet, saw an opportunity and bought the lands from the bank. He invested everything he had, pouring enormous sums of money to try to reverse the damage and make the land productive again." Matteo looked at the ground for a moment before lifting his eyes to meet Ingrid's gaze. He hired many of the same people who had lost their lands, giving them work, but this only fueled the resentment. They were now working on the land that was once theirs, and in the eyes of many, this made them feel like losers of their own history. The sadness in Matteo's voice was palpable. "The truth is that my grandfather never wanted to take anything from anyone. He wanted to help, but sometimes good intentions are overshadowed by pain and loss. And that resentment was passed down from generation to generation until my family became the symbol of everything that went wrong here." With this account, Ingrid was finally able to understand the weight that Matteo carried and the burden of a past he did not choose, but fought to repair in the only way he knew, by doing good, even if anonymously. Ingrid absorbed every word, feeling her heart tighten. "Why have you never clarified this more emphatically to everyone?" Matteo shrugged, a sad smile on his lips. "Who would believe it? Sometimes it's easier for people to have a villain to blame." As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Ingrid and Matteo grew closer and closer. She now saw him with new eyes, admiring his determination to do good, even if anonymously. However, not everything was rosy. Ingrid often heard malicious comments about Matteo's family and about herself for working for them. "How can you betray your own people like this?" her neighbour, the florist, once questioned when Ingrid stopped to buy a bouquet. "You don't understand," Ingrid tried to explain, feeling her face burn. "Matteo is not like you think." But her words fell on deaf ears. The town was determined to maintain its view of the Salvatores as villains. Meanwhile, a major project was taking shape on the outskirts of the city. A huge plot of land had been fenced off, and rumours of a gigantic shopping centre spread like wildfire. The population was outraged, fearing that the development would destroy local businesses and forever alter the character of the town. Ingrid knew the truth, of course. Matteo had entrusted her with the secret. It was not a shopping centre, but a modern hospital equipped with cutting-edge technology and a specialised paediatric wing. It would be an invaluable gift to the community, which until then had to travel hours to access advanced medical care. The project consumed a large part of their time. Long nights at the office became common, with Ingrid and Matteo working side by side, planning every detail of the inauguration. It was on one of those nights that something changed between them. Exhausted after hours poring over blueprints and budgets, they decided to take a break for a coffee. "You know, Ingrid," said Matteo, his eyes softening as he looked at her, I don't know what I would do without you. You not only understand my vision, but you enhance it." Ingrid felt her heart race. "It's an incredible project, Matteo. I'm honoured to be a part of it." Their gazes met, and for a moment the world seemed to stop. Matteo leaned in slowly, his hand gently touching Ingrid's face. The kiss that followed was tender, full of unspoken promises. In the months that followed, Ingrid and Matteo lived their love in secret, fearing the town's reaction. Every glance, every furtive touch in the office, every discreet encounter carried the excitement of a forbidden love. Finally, the big day arrived. The inauguration of the hospital was scheduled for that night, and the town was bustling with anticipation and apprehension. That morning, Matteo took Ingrid for a final inspection of the place. The building was impressive, with modern lines that nevertheless harmonized with the town's architecture. Wide corridors, state-of-the-art equipment, everything designed to offer the best possible care. It was in the pediatric wing, surrounded by colourful walls and miniature furniture, that Matteo surprised Ingrid. Kneeling down, he took a small box out of his pocket. "Ingrid," his voice trembled slightly, "you changed my life. You made me believe that it's possible to overcome the past and build something beautiful. Will you marry me?" With tears in her eyes, Ingrid nodded. Yes, words escaping her in that moment of pure happiness. Night fell, and with it, the long-awaited inauguration. But instead of the celebration they expected, Matteo and Ingrid were met with an angry crowd in front of the hospital gates. Protest signs and shouts of "Out Salvatore" echoed through the night. Ingrid's heart tightened at the sight. All the hard work, all of Matteo's good intentions were about to be destroyed by a misunderstanding. It was then that she made a decision. Grabbing the microphone from the hands of an astonished Matteo, Ingrid climbed onto a small stage. "Good evening, everyone." Her voice trembled initially, but soon gained strength. "I know many of you are here tonight because you fear what this new endeavour might mean for our city, but I ask that you hear me out." The crowd quieted down, curious. Ingrid continued, "This is not a shopping centre. It is a hospital. A hospital equipped to save lives, to take care of our children, to bring hope to our community." A murmur of surprise swept through the crowd. Ingrid proceeded, her voice laden with emotion. "I know there are resentments from the past, but Matteo Salvatore is not his grandfather. He has worked tirelessly to give back to this city. The anonymous donations to our schools, the reconstruction after the storm, all of that came from him." People looked at each other, shocked by the revelations. Ingrid concluded, "This hospital is just the beginning. In the coming months, we will see the opening of a modern nursery school. Matteo wants to heal the wounds of the past, not with words, but with actions. Give us, this chance." A profound silence followed Ingrid's words. Then slowly, applause began to emerge. Initially timid, it soon turned into an ovation. Matteo climbed onto the stage, tears in his eyes, and hugged Ingrid in front of everyone. "Thank you," he whispered, "for believing in me, for giving us a chance." That night, as the doors of the new hospital opened for the community to see, something else was born. A new era of understanding and forgiveness. Matteo and Ingrid walked hand in hand, receiving smiles and greetings where there had once been only suspicion. The engagement ring sparkled on Ingrid's finger, a symbol not only of their love, but of the union between past and future. The city discovered that night that behind the man they had deemed the most hated, there was in fact a generous heart. And Ingrid, the woman many had called a traitor, proved to be the bridge the community needed to heal old wounds. As the couple watched families excitedly exploring the new hospital, Matteo turned to Ingrid. "You changed everything," he said softly. "Not just for me, but for the whole city." Ingrid smiled, squeezing his hand. "We changed everything together, and this is just the beginning." As the night progressed, it became clear that a new story was being written. A story of redemption, of second chances. The city that had been trapped in the past for so long was finally looking to the future with renewed hope. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.